To the Parking Lot Podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about Han Solo. So tune in to the podcast. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to the Parking Lot Podcast. On this episode, we are going to talk about Han Solo, a Star Wars story.
No, it's called Solo, a Star Wars story.
Okay. Yes. And I'm your host, T, and this is...
This is Mo.
So, Mo, Han Solo.
Yes.
Were you stoked about this movie?
The movie Solo?
Yes.
No, I was not. In fact, I didn't even see it in theaters.
Oh, man.
Yeah, waited till it came out on DVD. Was not excited about it. How about you?
I was, but, there has been a lot of things that have kind of controversies and stuff like that have come up. And for me, they didn't release the trailer until, maybe 2 months before the movie came out. So there wasn't a lot of hype factor for it, and then the fact that they fired their old director and then got Ron Howard in, right? So this movie is I kind of feel like it's an amalgamation. So there's a little bit of the old director, and then there's a little bit of Ron Howard. And I was reading a review, and they were saying that the previous director, they always like to have a comedic, kind of a comedic spin on things. So Woody Harrelson is a very comedic actor, but he's also a very serious actor too. So I feel with Ron Howard coming in, he had not a lot to work with. So I feel like if it was Ron Howard did this movie from the beginning, I feel like it would have been better. But with what he got and when he got in, because I'm pretty sure when he got in, the timeline was very short. So everything was very pushed for him to go. So when you watch the movie, there wasn't a lot of depth, right? So that's why I felt about that movie. I was excited for it because the first Star Wars story was Rogue One, and I liked Rogue One. Some people didn't like it, but I really liked it. And it was something that I wanted to see where they were going after The Last Jedi. You know, The Last Jedi wasn't that great, and I felt like Han Solo, a Star Wars story, a Han Solo movie, was going to be something better than The Last Jedi, but in the end, it was not.
Well, I mean, I think I had a bit of an opposite reaction. I mean, I didn't like the movie, but more about Ron Howard took over for I think Chris Lord and Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And I mean, that wasn't a big deal to me. I didn't have huge problems with how it was directed. All my main issues are mostly with the writing and the story and the whole premise, like the main idea of it. So I don't think it would have been better if Chris Lord and Phil Miller directed it. It wouldn't have fixed the problems that I had. So it didn't really matter to me that the directors changed. I think the marketing was fine on it. It's a Star Wars movie, so I'm sure they marketed the hell out of it. I don't think the trailer came out only two months before the movie. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it did.
Really?
Yeah, because I.
Oh yeah, because they were hiding it. I do remember that. But I don't know. It was not a good movie. I'm going to probably say this multiple times, but it was barely a movie. Like, it didn't feel like a real movie. It felt more like a collection of references strung together with really poor story. So I don't care who was directing. I don't care who was acting in it. That that was not able to support a movie on its own.
Yeah, like I felt the movie was a very homage movie,
It's not
instead of
homage.
no, but like instead of like creating its own thing,
Yeah.
it kind of was like a fan. It was like
Yes.
a present for the fans kind of thing, because all the things that they showed was just like a little bit of backstory, but I
Hmm.
felt like it didn't build on Han Solo's backstory at all. You kind of figure out just a little bit here and there, but even then, like Han Solo in the original trilogy 4, 5, 6 is different from what is being depicted in Han Solo movie,
Hmm.
and I just felt like the those Han Solos are a little different. Maybe the Han Solo will be exactly the same if they had a couple more episodes or a couple more sequels to flesh out the character. But I felt like this episode did not really um flesh out the character at all. It was just kind of like a present to the fans. Oh, did you want to see how Chewbacca met Han Solo? Well, here you go. Do you want to see that those how he got those dice? Well, here you go. Do you want to see him
But
shoot
that's the thing.
first? Here you
If it's
go.
a present, if it's a present to the fans, kind of a shitty present.
Yeah,
Pardon my language, but no, it's not a good present because it's a bunch of like they're references, but they're also like super lazy references. It's like the references are the skeleton of the movie, and then they tied the rest of it together with stuff that didn't matter or didn't make any sense or wasn't paid off, right?
yeah,
So that's not much of a present. That's like saying you're a big fan of sweets, so I'm going to get you the crunchy chocolate bar. You ever had the crunchy chocolate bar?
yeah.
It's a terrible chocolate bar. It has a lot of sugar in it. You may like sugar, but you don't like it in the form that it's the crunchy bar. That's a disgusting bar, and it shouldn't be anywhere near the candy aisle.
You really don't like that chocolate bar, do you?
Oh my god, crunchy is the worst. It's the worst. And I think people listening, if they've ever tried a crunchy bar, they'll know how disgusting it is. But and Solo is kind of the same thing. Like I would rather like a movie that tried something different. But this one was just like exactly like all you said. Like we said, how did he get his blaster? How did he meet Chewie? All this kind of stuff. And the rest of it doesn't even make any sense. But I don't know. It was definitely a disappointment, and it bombed, underperformed, probably lost a ton of money. Um, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I was like surprised because like they had a good cast, and
No, no. Okay, let's talk about the cast. Um, Alden Ehrenreich. What do you think of his performance?
I don't know. I didn't really believe of his. I didn't really believe of his Han Solo. It was just a different rendition of Han Solo, but he has like big boots to fill, right? Like you're trying to compare yourself to, um, you're trying to pick up the character that Harrison Ford played for about what 4 movies. So you
Yeah,
have like really big boots to fill. So
sure, sure.
and
The guy
I
had it.
felt
The guy had it tough, but I think he was miscast, and I
yeah,
felt he was boring. Even if he did a different direction, like it's like that's completely not how Han Solo would act, but he did it engagingly and entertainingly. I'd be happy with that. But I really felt he was really boring most of the time. And if you're boring and you're miscast, it's just so. If you're a main character, the titular character is not well cast, I would say that you don't have a good cast, regardless of the supporting cast.
huh, yeah. What would you think of Chewbacca? Because man, he was
Of
perfect,
Chewbacca,
on point, on point. Okay, you can't
yeah,
say
I'll
that
give
he
you
was
that.
a horrible Chewbacca, but that was On point Chewbacca.
Chewbacca was
Oh.
off the heezy for sheezy, if the kids still say that. And actually, his interactions with the Han character was
Yeah.
some of the best in the movie. It's not saying much, but it was definitely really good. It was good. They had good chemistry together.
Yeah. And then, what do you think of Donald Glover? I liked Donald Glover in this movie.
I mean, he was all right. Like I have no actual problems with his character, but I also don't really like. I don't want to say anything good or bad against it. Donald Glover did his best. I don't think he was cast very well. How about that?
I don't know. I think he did a good job as Lando Calrissian. I didn't really see a problem with it,
Yeah, I guess
but it
so.
was
I
kind of
mean,
weird. Like, is he like? Did they just want to throw in that he was like into robots? Because I never remember that in the extended universe
oh
or
no, it
like
was never
four,
there.
five, six.
No, it was never there. They added it for this movie,
Yeah.
but he was also kind of pathetic. I don't think Lando was ever a pathetic character. I think he was suave and cool, and he betrayed the heroes, and then he came back on the good side, but he was never pathetic, right?
Yeah, because he
As far
didn't
as I
really
remember.
do much. Like, if you think
No,
about the character, he didn't really do much. Like, I
he
felt like
didn't
he
really do
was,
much.
he did well, but just the character itself, like, didn't really, yeah, he didn't do much at all. And then in
So,
the end, he just ran away, right?
Glover's role, forget not just his performance, but his role. So now he's kind of comic relief. But did you find him funny?
Not really. He didn't
Yeah,
really
I
have
don't,
any funny parts. Like,
he
even
wasn't
his
really.
robot was not that funny either.
Yeah. So he wasn't funny and he wasn't suave and so he was just kind of a pathetic character. So I don't know. It was all right. I think the Glover did the best he could with what he had. But I don't think he had much.
Yeah. And next is Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson, one of my favorite actors right now. And I'm excited to see more of him, like in the new Venom movie. I mean, the sequel, if they make a sequel to Venom. And I'm kind of excited to see more of him. But in this movie, when I saw it, and I was like, yeah, he's gonna turn. Like he's gonna be the bad guy, or he's gonna turn around in the end. And it was true. Like he did. And I could see that a mile away,
Yeah.
because of, the line that he made. But here's the thing. When I read, like, some synopsis and stuff like that before the movie came out, they said Woody Harrelson was going to play the mentor character to Han Solo. I do
Yeah.
not think that he was really a mentor. He didn't really do much except say that one line. He didn't really teach him anything until that one point. But
What
other
line?
than that, it was just like, you know, I didn't feel like he was really a mentor character. He didn't really teach him much.
What line was it?
When he was just like, I'll give you a little bit of advice. What was it? Can't remember the line. Let me look it up real quick.
Oh, okay. Woody Harrelson, I think I really like him as an actor. He's a great actor. I think he was probably the best cast in this movie. His character was fine. Again, the story didn't do him any favors, but in a better story, I think he would have been an amazing character.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree with you. What do you think of Amelia Clark?
So I first of all, I did not even realize it was the same actress that was in Game of Thrones until like halfway through the movie or after the movie or something like that.
Yeah,
And it's night and day. Her like I really didn't like this character, like at all. What would you think of her character, Kira? Her character.
I wanted more flesh out with the character. I wanted to know more. Like I wanted to know what she
Let,
was
let me
doing during like those 5-6 years that they were gone. I want to know more about that, but they didn't
Let,
really say much except that.
let me ask you. Let me ask you. Okay, so let's get completely into spoilers now. It's going to be um, completely spoiler filled going forward. Let me ask you, what do you know about Kira's character? Like, list off the things that you know about her.
She was from that one planet
Yep.
that I can't remember.
Corellia.
Eukarelia. So she's from Corellia.
What else?
She love interest of Han Solo.
Kind of. We don't know if
Yeah.
she actually loves him. Yeah.
Was caught in the caught by like whoever owned them,
Mm-hmm.
and then is under Dryden boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not
That's
a
it.
lot. Yeah,
You
that's
know,
it.
you know nothing else about this character, and at times they would kind of hint at her past. He'd be like, "I want to know everything." She's like, "What do you mean everything?" It's like everything that happened since we separated. He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "You'll never look at me the same." And then later she's like, "I've done some things." Dryden Voss is like, "She's done things you wouldn't believe." You know, Han Solo tells Woody Harrelson's character Beckett, he's like, "I know her better than you." He's like, "I think you don't know her at all." They keep saying these things, and no resolution to it whatsoever. We know nothing about her character. She's the worst kind of mystery, a mystery that you don't. I personally didn't really care about because her character wasn't interesting, and they never tell you anything about it. It's a mystery for the sake of being a mystery. So that was terrible, terrible. At the end, you know nothing about her. Nothing about her.
Yeah, and then
And there's no conclusion, and there's definitely not going to be a solo sequel. So her character's either a dead end, or
yeah,
they're going to continue it in like some animated show, or they're going to horn her into like a Obi-Wan movie or something like that, right?
they're not
But
making the Obi-Wan movie, and they're not making. So um the Obi-Wan movie got canceled after this. How like Han Solo did, and also Boba Fett movie just got canceled like the other day. So I don't think I think it's going to be a while before we do see the continuation of the story, and I don't think we will. Or it might be in like a novel or in some other way, like in like the animated show or something like that. But like right now, I don't think that it's going to be happening. I think they're going to go
but
their own path.
they didn't announce that they stopped the Obi-Wan movie. I think they did the opposite of that. I think they said it's going to go forward. I think they said they didn't want to do the Boba Fett movie, but Obi-Wan's still on the table.
No, Obi-Wan was put on hold.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't remember hearing that at all.
any movie that is kind of like a Star Wars story has been put on hold. It's not going to be made for a while. I don't know. Like it's like you know the Guardians of the Galaxy movie that's on hold right now too.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we'll see. Like they kind of
But bringing it back to the Kira character, so yeah, so her story is a dead end. It's and if it's in the extended universe or whatever, like non-movies, then it doesn't really matter because movies are how the vast majority of the fans interact with it, right?
yeah.
So her character did nothing really, meant nothing, and is going nowhere. So it's a pretty bad character.
Yeah, and I didn't like how show they showed like Darth Maul, and I was like, oh yes, they're finally bringing him into continuity. You know, like he was in Rogues, and he was in no Rebels. Yeah, he was in Rebels, and he was in Clone Wars. So I really liked his character in that, and I was happy when I finally saw him. But I don't think they did it right, because now like you're never gonna see him. So they dangled this little candy in front of me, and then now they took it away. You know.
Yeah, I think it was real dumb. I think so. It was just another one of the references, and it's not like references are bad in a movie, but this movie is so clumsy with the references. So I don't think it's just like if we list the references, it's not that we hate references, hate Easter eggs and that kind of stuff. The problem is, for example, Darth Maul. He's like kind of a cool callback or reference. He would be if it wasn't so awkward. He's like it's like a full body hologram. He's standing there so you could see his metal robot legs, and then she tells him Dryden Voss is dead, and he like the Force pulls his lightsaber and turns it on threateningly. It's
Yeah.
the dumbest thing I've ever seen. He's threatening her over like a Skype call with a lightsaber.
Yes. Well, he can still
It doesn't
choke
make,
her through the force.
yeah, but what does that have to do with his lightsaber?
I know.
And how? And he'd have to be pretty close, I think, to. Plus, from what I've heard other people tell me about him, he's not very good with the Force. He's a great lightsaber guy, but he's not good with the Force, right?
Yeah.
And so what I don't like is that it's real dumb. It's like, okay, we want to make sure the fans remember it's Darth Maul, so we got to have him turn on his lightsaber, or else the audience is so dumb they won't know who that is, right?
Yeah.
So so clumsy. Like in this movie, they give you the origin of things like Han Solo's name. You know, what's your name? So Han. What's your last name? I don't have a last name. It's like, who are your people? I don't have people. It's like, all right, Han Solo. And then the camera like the movie like winks at the audience like, huh? He's solo because he's alone, huh? Oh my god, it's so dumb.
Didn't like that.
So dumb. And it's a million times. Woody Harrelson's character tosses him his blaster, and the camera zooms in on the blaster. Like, this is how Han Solo got his blaster and kept the same blaster for 10 years. For 10 years, kept the same blaster.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. And all the different lines, like, I've got a good feeling about this, because he's younger and more naive now, until the future where he says, I got a bad feeling about this. Where he shoots Beckett, Woody Harrelson's character, first, because Han shoots first, that's what the fans want. It's so ham-fisted. It's so ham-fisted, and that's what I don't like. That's why I say it's not much of a movie. It's just a bunch of ham-fisted references.
Yeah. So I just found like the quote that I liked, and it was by Tobias Beckett, which is Woody Harrelson's character talking to Han Solo. Mm-hmm. And he said, you want to know how I've survived as long as I have? I trust no one. Assume everyone will betray you and you will never be disappointed. Right?
Yeah,
So
and then after that scene, every single character betrays Han Solo. Yeah. Every single character. By the way, what do you think of the ending with the whole switcheroo of like, I'm betraying you? Like, they just have a conversation with Beckett, and then Woody Harrelson's character, and then like 5 minutes later, Dryden Voss is like, you've been betrayed. Guess by who? And then the camera zooms into like the doorway, and then, oh my god, Woody Harrelson's character walks in. Big reveal, big surprise. The guy who 5 minutes ago told you not to trust him can't be trusted.
Yeah, like it wasn't really a big of a jump. Like when I saw that, I was like, I could see that a mile away. He's the only one that's not there. Like, who else would betray them?
It's obvious, and then the cinematography pretends like it's not obvious. That's one thing I really don't like about this movie. It's constantly winking at the screen, or like saying like, this is an important thing. When the Enfys nest, those pre-rebel people, when the leader takes off the mask and it's like just this young girl, the camera like holds on there, and we get reaction shots from all the main cast. Like, it's a big deal.
Like, who is she? I didn't know who she was.
But the camera is telling you, look at this. This is really important. Like, a big reveal. Like, we were supposed to know who she was.
Yeah, but I don't. That's the thing.
Or surprised that she's a girl. But no one was surprised. No one was like it didn't matter. So the movie's constantly doing stuff like that all the freaking time. It's like Chewbacca. It's like, what's your name? Chewbacca. You're going to need a nickname, because I'm not saying that the whole time. It's like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's why he calls him Chewie. Did we need an origin for his nickname? Like, do they need to spell that out? It's the So the movie does that all the freaking time,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It's such a non-movie movie for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna keep saying that.
And it's just like I didn't like certain parts. Like, did you think that robot scene where the robot was like equal rights, equal? Like, I didn't need that in the movie. You know, like if you didn't have, even if you didn't even have that robot, I'll be
Yeah.
fine, because that's the first time you ever hear that like the navigation system in the Millennium Falcon was from a robot. Like that's the
No,
first
actually,
time.
no, actually, that's also a callback. Apparently,
Is it?
so when R2D2 interfaces with Millennium Falcon,
Yeah.
he says like, "Oh man, this ship's got a dirty mouth" or something like that. Like, it's like a little throwaway line, and then they build this whole character from that.
Oh,
But
I
but
don't remember
but it
that.
doesn't mean it was a good character. I thought that character was kind of dumb. Every droid sidekick in this universe is all sassy. They're all sassy robots. This is I was listening to a podcast, The Weekly Planet,
Yeah.
and they made this point. They're like, why is every droid a sassy droid? You know, they no other droids. R2D2, what's it called? C3
C3PO.
C3PO, the one from Force, not Force Awakens, from Rogue One. They're all just sassy robots, sassy robot sidekicks, and it's kind of boring and lame, and and it's kind of messed up. So L3, the sassy robot, she was fighting for robot independence and equal rights, right?
Yeah.
So at the end, they trap her permanently to the Millennium Falcon, where she's just like doing navigation for all the human people.
Yeah.
That's pretty messed up. It's pretty dark, you know? Like, it's kind of a sad ending to that character. She would hate that they did that to her. And Lando's the one who put her in, and he's supposed to like her, you know? Like, it's kind of messed up. Like, it's almost like they didn't realize what they were trying to say with the character. They just did a whole bunch of, wouldn't it be funny if they had like an obnoxious SJW type robot, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dumb character. Dumb character.
Yeah. And I don't know. I hope going forward with some of these, I hope it changes, like with the new Star Wars movies. I hope it's more exciting, because I know, like, for you said that you're kind of done with it, but I feel it could get better from what they've learned now. I think they might put a little bit more effort just to kind of flesh things out, but we
Wait,
will see.
why would you think they're going to get better? They're getting worse.
I feel episode.
You could be hopeful, I guess.
Yeah,
Episode what?
I'm hopeful for the new episode of like
Episode 9?
of the trilogy, and then when the trilogy ends and the new trilogy starts, I'll be hopeful for that one too. But we will see how they turn around The Last Jedi, because I feel they can, but it's just gonna take a lot of effort. Like, they're gonna have to like change a little things and take care of some plot holes. Like 4, 5, 6 had plot holes, and they took care of it. You know,
They took care of it?
well, they had like Rogue One, which explained why there was a huge hole in the Death Star.
But you
right?
know what? I don't even care about those kind of plot holes. Like, people say, oh, it's unbelievable that there'd be this weakness in this giant spaceship. I don't think it's unbelievable. Like, why is it unbelievable?
I just think it's
It's
like,
not a real, like, those are not the plot holes I care about. The plot holes I care about is more like, this seems like a forced kind of thing, right? Like for example, let me think of a good forced thing in this. Oh, here's a good forced thing that seems like a plot hole. So Beckett at the end, when he betrays Han to Dryden Voss, and then Han's smarter than that. He actually had the Enfys Nest people kill all of Dryden Voss's people, and then Beckett's like, so he shoots Dryden Voss's guards, takes the coaxium, the treasure that they had, and then leaves them living. He leaves Dryden Voss alive. And earlier in the movie, he said, "Oh, Dryden Voss is, you don't want to mess with him. You don't want to mess with the Crimson Dawn. They will chase you forever," right?
Yeah.
So he has Dryden Voss unarmed, and he's got a blaster. He's the only one in the room with a blaster. And he's like, "All right, guys, see you later." And that's because the story, the plot, they wanted to leave the three of them in that room: Dryden Voss, Kira, and Han. They wanted to leave those three in the room. So that's what I mean by a forced bad plot hole. That's the kind of stuff in the new movies. The old movies may have had plot holes, but Rogue One, I don't think Rogue One fixed the original trilogy. I think Rogue One was kind of just another reference-filled kind of thing. But at least I enjoyed that. I felt Rogue One had an actual story. You know, I know a lot of people hate Rogue One, but I actually liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I liked it too, because they went like, there was not a lot of homage, but it was just like
in Rogue One.
It was his own story. They made an own story. They created some characters, and it was cool to watch. You knew what was going to happen. Like, you can't really be like, oh, spoiler, because like everyone's dead. Well, from the original line in episode 4, they said everyone died to get these plans. So in the end, like, you already know what was happening, and I just liked how they put a certain group in, and you can, and it just told that story, and it kind of added to the universe, and I like that. But with Han Solo, it didn't really add much other than, as you said, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, haha, here you go, fans. You know,
I think Rogue One was a story with a ton of references. It had a ton of references. By the way, I think homage is when you reference someone other than the main body of work. Like Kill Bill is an homage to old kung fu movies, right, and westerns and samurai movies. So, but if it's within the same universe, it's just references and Easter eggs and that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
So Rogue One was actually filled with a ton of Easter eggs, and I remember people criticizing it at the time, saying like, "Oh, this is just a bunch of Easter eggs in a movie." But at the same time, they gave me something, you know, and I feel Solo didn't give me anything. It didn't. By the way, so we played the game. What do you know about Kira? Let's play the game. What is Han's motivation in this movie? Like, what does he want to do in this movie?
He wants to become the greatest pilot, go back, and free his girlfriend.
Okay, so that's the plot of the first act, right?
Yeah.
That he wants to go free his girlfriend, and he wants to be a pilot. So, right after the first act, he finds out that she's already escaped, right? That she's alive. So that's not his main motivation throughout the movie. That's just the first act. So what is his motivation throughout the movie?
To become the greatest pilot? Make money?
Well,
I don't know.
Do any of the things he does in the second and third act help him achieve that goal to become a greatest pilot? No.
Not really.
Not at all. Not at all. So what's his goal?
He doesn't have one.
He doesn't have one. It's so dumb. It's like vague. It's like he wants to be with her, but then they're going on this mission. It's like, why are you risking your life if this girl is kind of safe, right?
Yeah.
And like, so it's like he lost his motivation, but the movie keeps going. So, it felt like not really much of a movie. They're like, well, Han has to go on the Kessel Run, right? Oh, Han has to do this, you know. Dryden Voss has to be killed at the end, you know. If they're just going through the motions, but nothing makes sense, and no one really has any reason to do anything. And okay, so speaking of things that they spent screen time on, but had no impact on the story or the characters. Beckett, Woody Harrelson's character, his girlfriend Val, just dies for what seems like not much of a reason, and then is never mentioned again and has no impact on his character or the story.
Yeah. Like, she was just like his whole like I rewatched it when I was on the plane, and I watched that one scene, and I think she died like maybe like 30, 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah,
Like they died like really early, like, and his whole crew dies.
his whole crew died, but they didn't. They when the guy played by John Favreau with the arms, when he died, he just died, right?
Yeah.
But when she died, it was like self-sacrifice. She's his girlfriend. He could be just some random guy, but she is like she says when they're sitting around the campfire. She's like, everyone needs somebody, even grizzled old smugglers like this guy. He needs somebody, and then they make out. So obviously, like they're trying to tell us they're in love, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big deal that his girlfriend dies on a mission, the first mission that Han is there. But that informs none of the rest of the movie. Like they just drop it and never mention it again. Why do we spend all that time? Like why did that happen? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I do agree. There wasn't really that much with that at all.
It's just
Yeah.
things happen because we need to get from this point to that point to that point. That's the worst kind of references, you know. And people say, oh, the Marvel movies, they all have a lot of Easter eggs and stuff like that. Yeah, but they have the Easter eggs within a movie. Like you already have. It's like a cherry on top.
Yeah.
You have this beautiful cake, and then you put a cherry on top. This movie is like a bowl of cherries. You get sick of eating cherries, and there's nothing else there.
Yeah. I
Oh my
wonder,
goodness.
like, I feel that this movie was just kind of like to grab money. And I think with Disney taking over LucasArts, I think if LucasArts was its own thing and not part of Disney, I think this would have been a little bit better. Because I think the story would have been like in continuity and stuff, but like Disney taking it over, Disney wants money, right? So
Yeah.
Disney wants money, Disney wants more Star Wars. So with more Star Wars is going to be come out with shitty stories, I feel. Like with
Really?
this,
But
it's
but
this was
how come
bad,
that
but Rogue
hasn't?
One was good, but I feel like they in the end, like I'm kind of happy that this went bad and the other stuff got canceled because like I don't want to see like after this was bad, and then you see Obi-Wan bad movie, Boba Fett bad movie, and then people are like, okay, I'm tired of Star Wars, now. But I want them to be okay. We're gonna take some time, create a good movie, so when it comes out, you're like, wow, this was great. I like this. This is a good series. And then okay, let's keep going. Let's do another one in a couple years. Okay? Ooh, wow, great movie. But instead of the like, okay, you know what we're gonna do in the between when we're making this main trilogy, we're gonna release these offshoot stories which are not that great, just to appease the fans and make a little bit money in the process. I felt like this failing kind of changed it a little bit, and they will kind of figure out what to do next, right? So like right now they're making a TV show, but
Hmm.
that TV show is going to be about the Mandalorians. That might be cool. Like I feel like it might be a cool story that they're gonna tell through there, because they've always wanted to make a TV show. Like even before this, there was rumors that they were gonna make a TV show, like a Star Wars TV show. So
Hmm.
now that this came out, I'm kind of excited for it. But I hope it does well, and I hope it's not I hope it's like a good sci-fi way, like a show, right? Like yeah, I hope it's like The Expanse. If it was like The Expanse, oh man, that would be so cool. Or
No,
like
that's setting your hopes way too high, way too high. And by the way, at the beginning of this, you said that Disney's at fault, but I mean, this doesn't happen with the other franchises that Disney bought, right? Like Disney movies are going well with like Frozen, people like that. What's it called? Wreck-It Ralph, people really like that. Zootopia is doing really good, and then you got Pixar. Pixar is still killing it, you know. And then and look at Marvel. Marvel's doing great.
Yeah.
All that is under Disney, so I wouldn't like. I don't know why I would blame Disney for Star Wars when none of the other Disney-owned things are like crashing this badly, right?
No, I
And
do understand, but it's
and
just
Lucasfilm did the prequels, which prequels
mm,
did try to do their own story. No, they did try to do their own story, but
yeah,
they weren't good movies. Like I did not enjoy them, and I wouldn't rewatch them. Right?
yeah,
So Lucasfilms is like Star Wars in general has been effing up for quite a while. It's been effing up for quite a while, and I told you off camera that I'm done with it. And kind of the reason why, by the way, full disclosure, I've never been a big Star Wars fan, and until Force Awakens came out, I barely knew anything about Star Wars other than what's known in pop culture, right?
yeah,
Um, so when Force Awakens came, I got super excited. But Force Awakens, like I enjoyed the movie, and it was like, oh man, this is very familiar. It's like the original movie, and a little too much like the original movie, but that's okay. They can do that for the first one, bring back all the nostalgic feels, you know. But then I also was disappointed that they did the little switcheroo with the. I thought we were gonna have a Black Jedi, but they didn't have a Black Jedi, and I was like, it's kind of a weird switcheroo. And then they do what's it called Rogue One, and Rogue One. I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's interesting. It's like a little side thing, but it's only its own thing. Then they did the Last Jedi, and the Last Jedi. I wasn't angry at it like a lot of people. I think it was thematically confused as a movie, but it had a real conclusion. Like at the end of that movie, I had no more questions about what's going on. Like it really felt like the end of a trilogy. So if the franchise ended right there, I think I would be totally fine with that. So there's zero expectation. Like after Force Awakens, remember how much people were talking about like what's going to happen in the next movie?
yeah.
There was like 2 years of that. Snoke theories, Rey's parents. What's it called? What's gonna Kylo Ren? What happened with him? Luke's gonna appear. Like all of this speculation, all these ideas, regardless of how they handled it, they still had a lot of reasons why you're looking forward to The Last Jedi. But now, why would you be looking forward to Episode 9? There's nothing. There's no real questions. At the
Yeah,
end of the movie, yeah, right?
yeah, it's kind of weird how like I thought Snoke was going to be one of those, I thought he was going to be like Darth Vader. He was going to last until the end. But like you really want to know what who Snoke is and how he came into power. You want to know all that information. And then they kill him off in
Well, I don't even
8.
care. I'm not even talking about how they handle him. I'm just saying that I was looking forward to The Last Jedi because of all these things, right? And there was a lot of hype in it. What is the hype for Episode 9? Like, what questions do you have? They kind of closed the book on most of that stuff.
Well,
So,
like you still want to know like what Kylo Ren is going to be doing now that he is in power, right? So like that struggle
that,
between Kylo Ren and also Rey, it's going to come
mhm.
to an end. I think like the episode 9, that's what it's going to do. It's just going to be a wrap up, and also kind of like how she becomes like a master. Because if you think about like 789, she didn't really get like a lot of training, and her training in like 8 was really non-existent. She didn't really learn much. But now that like not Obi-Wan, Luke is part of the Force, he will
Yeah.
be able to teach a little bit to Rey, and she might be able to handle the Force, right? Because what's going to happen is you kind of see that a lot of kids are getting Force sensitive. So she's
Oh,
going to be the
God, yeah.
master to be able to teach those kids, right? Like the Jedi are going to come back, but like I want to see what they're going to do with Kylo Ren, right? Is he gonna turn? Is he gonna what's gonna happen with him? Because if you think about it, and they always say that there's always that imbalance of the force. The force has to be balanced out.
Yeah.
So if the Sith have taken over and the Sith like there's a lot of Sith, there will be Jedis that come out, right? Where if there's a lot of Jedi, the Sith will come out. Because if you look at through the history, like the previous history of Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
There used to be like a ton of Sith and a ton of Jedi's, and when the rule of twos came,
Yeah.
all of the Jedi got killed off. No, I mean all the Sith got killed off, and then they
Except for a master and an apprentice.
yeah. So those two
But
stayed, but then
but
the
T, all
imbalance
this,
is different now.
but T, all the stuff you mentioned is not really relevant for this next movie, though, right? So you're saying the struggle between Kylo and Rey. That was kind of what the whole Last Jedi was about, right?
Yeah.
Like so they kind of explore that quite a bit. So it's not really much questions. It's more just like denouement. It's just like an ending, right?
Yeah.
So that should be like the last third of a movie, not an entire movie, right?
Hmm.
And then you talk about like the new class of the new young Jedi that are appearing, Force sensitive kids. That's not something they're going to handle in the next movie. They're not going to have a bunch of kids running around doing stuff. That's setting up for the next trilogy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's unless they do a time jump and then change the actors that are playing, what's it called? All your main characters here, and then have them already raised up a bunch of new Jedi. That's not going to happen. You're gonna stick with the same actors. So those kids don't matter really with the next movie. It matters for the next trilogy. So most of the stuff you're saying, like it's not very concrete. It's very vague. Like what are Kylo and Rey gonna do? And also a lot of it was already explored. And again, the resistance, the rebellion, is down to a bunch of small group people fighting a big empire, empire, or what's the First Order type thing. So are they going to do the exact same thing? Like they're just going to repeat the same thing again and again and again?
You know
like,
what's gonna happen though, right? They're gonna bring in another Death Star world. Like, oh my!
even if they don't. But I'm just saying, there's not much concrete stuff. There's nothing to get hyped about. Have you heard any theories about what's going to happen in the next movie? Like the way you heard about it between Force Awakens and For the Last Jedi? No, people are not talking about it the same way.
Yeah, you don't hear much about that. Like I read a lot about in between, like who's Snoke, and then they like guess it's like Snoke is actually maybe this, you know.
Even Force Awakens, there was tons of chatter, right? No chatter because there's nothing to chat about. Like this should have been the last movie in the trilogy, The Last Jedi, right? But I don't know. So that's why for me. And then like I was saying, so we had basically a rehash movie, which was The Force Awakens. Rogue One was kind of nice. Then we had The Last Jedi, which kind of very conclusion type movie. And then you have Solo, which is barely a movie. So they're out of story, and all they have is references. So is that what the movies are going to be from now on? Not really a story, but just a bunch of flimsy references that are like tied together with some ham-fisted like Force story elements.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it could change. We'll see.
It should change, and it might change. Because they got I think they might have gotten a big wake up because we were talking about the box office before, and Solo cost $300 million. I think it probably cost a lot more than that because they filmed this movie twice. But $300 million. That's like an Avengers movie price tag.
And how much?
And the box office 392.
Ooh.
But that's 392 gross box office, and the budget 300 million doesn't include advertising. And you know, all Star Wars movies have a lot of advertising, even if it's for a short time. So let's say 100 million for advertising. It's a budget of 400 million, and the box office, let's round it up to 400 million. You only get half of that. So that means this movie, just on box office, probably lost 200 million.
Ooh.
But Star Wars makes a lot of its money off its toys, right? So they probably made some of that up. But that's like the first Star Wars movie to lose money, you know? It's the first bomb ever. So I think they got a bit of a wake-up call. I hope they realize they need to give us a freaking movie and not what this is, you know.
Yeah.
But
It,
anyway,
yeah.
any final thoughts on Solo?
I would. I don't know. Like, it's enjoyable, but it has problems. But um, I had to watch it the second time. If I just watch it from the first time, I would right now be saying, man, everyone in that movie had huge feet, because I was sitting in the first row, in like recliner seats at Landmark, and I was watching in
Oh,
the first row, and all I saw was they all had big feet. You know,
really?
so yeah, so I was just like, I really need to watch this before I review, because I was so like, did you guys notice that Woody Harrelson had a really big head and like or a small head and like big feet? Because that's what I saw. You know,
Oh my god! Oh my god! Well, for me, I think I'll say some nice things. So the the special effects, the costume, makeup, hair, all that kind of stuff was fantastic. It was actually really good. I never once felt that anything looked fake or was unbelievable. Everything looked great, um, which is a credit to like the that part of the filmmaking. The cinematography was really dark, right?
yeah,
Everything was really dark. So that kind of I said I was going to be positive, but it kind of hurt all the work put into the sets and the costumes and all that kind of stuff and the special effects. If everything's so dark, you can barely see anything. And the direction, the rest of the cinematography of how like they compose their shots and everything, kind of boring, kind of like very flat, very very serviceable type of thing, which is what Ron Howard is known for. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's the only good things I could possibly say about the movie, which is kind of sad.
yeah. So let's move on to our next segment, and it is what tickles your fancy.
Ooh,
So,
what tickles your fancy, T?
so actually, I do have a good one. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently watching right now Castlevania, the second season, and I have to say, so good, so good. It's written
Mm.
by like, I did not know, but like I watched the first one like a lot of times. So like I watched it maybe like 3 or 4 times, because it's only like 4 episodes, right? So it's a really quick watch for season one. And season
Season one is
two,
4 episodes.
yeah,
4 episodes. Oh wow. Okay.
yeah. So season two is 8 episodes. So, but like after watching season one, it was 4 episodes, and it was like a tease. They wanted to see like how well it did, and it did really well. Like I thoroughly enjoyed season one. And then
Mhm.
season two came out, and I was like, I'm stoked, but I wonder if it's gonna be as good. And so far, watched about 5 episodes in 2 days, and I have to say, it is as good or even better than season one. And
Oh
the
wow.
story is really well written. And do you know who writes it? Do you know who the
It,
writer of Castlevania is?
no.
Warren Ellis.
Oh okay.
Yeah, so like he's been writing some like good stories lately in the Marvel universe, and I really enjoy I really enjoyed it. Like you would too. It's kind of like brutal, but it's not like, it has like that vampire vibe and like gore and stuff like that, and it's kind of
Mm.
like adult, but I really enjoyed it. I think that if you give it a chance, you'll like it, and you'll go through it so quick, because first season's 4 episodes, and then second season's 8, so it will go by real quick.
Hmm.
And the animation, oh man, what do you know, when I talked about Your Name, and I was talking
Yes.
about like animation and stuff like that, this animation that they did for this series, whew, it was good. I
Really?
thought this was like an anime kind of thing, but it's Western animation, and
Oh
I was
really?
surprised at how well it was, how well put together and drawn. Like some parts are kind of eh, but other parts are really good. And I wish all like the animation that they did on this was like in the other stuff right now, like in the DC universe, because the DC universe animation, I do not like it, and it's like it looks like pencil and like computer generated, but this is beautiful. Like there's some parts that were kind of but the rest was really good. You should give it a shot if you're
That's
interested
awesome.
in vampires or the Castlevania series in itself. This is good.
That's awesome. Okay. For what tickles my fancy, I actually wasn't gonna mention this, but I have to mention it now because I just found out that this show got canceled today. I think yesterday they canceled it.
Ooh,
American Vandal,
really?
probably the funniest comedy on TV right now. It's technically not on TV anymore because it got canceled, but it is the 2 seasons on Netflix. American Vandal. It is a mockumentary in the style of Making a Murder or Serial, the podcast, and it is brilliant. It is so funny. These days, like you can get away with calling something comedy while you sit there and you don't laugh that often. This show, I was laughing all the time. A whole bunch of young actors, like high school age actors, and they all brilliant. I don't know where they get these actors or how they get these performances out of actual teenagers, but this show was amazing. And it just got canceled.
Really?
It
Like I
got
thought it did
canceled.
well. I thought did second season not do as well?
Well, the thing is, you never know what Netflix's view count is, right? Because that's the only
Yeah.
they don't have box office, they don't have television ratings. They just have their own internal view count, and so who knows if that's why they did it. But when it came to like chatter and trending and all this stuff, it was doing really good. Everyone loves the show. It's got like high critical acclaim. Everyone's talking about it. The new second season, I didn't think that they could do a second season as good as the first one. I thought like that's all they had in them.
Yeah.
But the second season was just as good. It was amazing. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they said that 2 seasons is all they could do. Like if the creative team were like, that's it, our story's done. We did 2 seasons, we kind of tapped everything. But if it's like Netflix that's canceling them and they had more story to tell, that's such a shame, I think. Such a shame.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't. Continue.
yeah, actually, and a little self promotion here. So in the second season, they have a storyline called the Turd Burglar, and on another podcast called the Staff Turnover Podcast, on the second episode, which came out the other week, I tell my own personal story of where I used to work and how we had the Shit Bandit, which is so similar to the storyline of American Vandal season 2 that I was shocked. So if anyone listening here is interested, check it out on YouTube. The podcast called Staff Turnover Episode 2.
And it's funny to say that because when I was working, there was a guy that they nicknamed the Phantom Pooper, and they were trying to figure out for a while, like why poop was just randomly showing up, like just they go to sleep, they wake up, poop right there, and they were trying to figure out
Where's right there? What do you mean by right there? Where is this poop?
like random places, like inside a tent, outside.
Oh
like
my
everywhere.
god!
Yeah.
In public, outside
Yeah,
of
in
a
public
toilet.
places. So
Oh,
it's just
lovely.
they called the guy the Phantom Pooper because you're like, where did this poo come from?
Is this like a common thing? Like this is like I had a story about someone who would poop inappropriately. You got a story. They made a whole season about it on American Vandal. Like, are people around the world pooping irresponsibly? Like, is this a thing?
Well, guess what? The only
What?
way to find out is if anyone's listening out there and listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
just email us, and then we'll read it on the next podcast
Oh,
about the
snap.
Phantom Pooper stories or just
Okay.
pooper
Yes.
stories.
Yes. What's our email? What's our email?
It is parkinglot ep11pod@gmail.com. I'll
Excellent.
I'll link it in the description of this video, so
Nice.
you'll be able to take a look. And also, if you're also going to send us an email, why not like and subscribe to our YouTube channel? And you can also find us on at iTunes/The Parking Lot Podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. And
All right, we got all that self promotion out of the way. Nice.
Also, before we end, what do you think of like Netflix ending? Like they're ending a lot of shows right now, right? So
They are.
like Iron
Well,
Fist
most
is
of them
done.
suck, though. American Vandal is not one of the ones that sucks.
Yeah, but Iron Fist is done. Luke Cage is done,
Yeah.
and we don't know what's gonna happen with Daredevil. Like I heard a lot of people say that Daredevil season 3 is really good, but you watched like what, the first episode and it wasn't that great.
I don't know.
Does it get better?
My opinion of it is very I guess I wouldn't say unbiased, but it's already in a sour mood. Like this whole Netflix, Marvel Netflix, I'm so sour on all of this. And the first episode of Daredevil season 3 was just like sad, depressed. Matt Murdock in a church, and they're just having all these conversations, and he's just sad and depressed and like so boring, and like the cinematography, and it's really dark as well. And we ended up skipping a lot of it. Like we were watching it, and we're like, skip. Oh, they're still talking about being sad. Skip. They're still talking about being sad. And then the episode ended, and we're like, what was that? That was such a bad episode.
Yeah.
And I thought that the cinematography was very simple and not very good. It felt like a cheesy TV show compared to the beautiful cinematography of the first season of Daredevil, right? Like the artistry of Daredevil is gone, I think, at least in that first episode. But everyone on the internet seems to like it. And what do you think? You saw it, right?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
I'm going to be binging 2 shows when I go to work. So
Hunter
I'm
x
going to
Hunter?
be watching. I'm going to be binging Iron
Hunter x
Fist.
Hunter? And Hunter x Hunter.
I can't because it's not on Netflix, so I can't download it.
Wait, how you? So Netflix you can download offline, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll talk later. But if you're gonna watch Iron Fist over Hunter x Hunter, like you need to get your priorities straight, my friend.
Well, it's just something that I wanna just kind of knock off my list.
Oh my god! So it's a chore.
Yeah, it's a
If
chore.
if it's a chore, just get out of there. There's no time for chore entertainment.
But given the thing is, I give shows like a shot, you know, like so. There's this anime on Netflix called Last Hope. It's like and it's like it's kind of like mecha in a post-apocalyptic world, and I watched it and I gave it literally I think three episodes.
Yeah.
And it's like a 3-episode try, and it just didn't get better at all. I just felt like it just was kind of boring.
And you
And
dropped
so
it.
like most shows I kind of give it a little shot. When I watched Iron Fist, the first episode was good. So I want to
Season
see
1
where
or
it
season
is.
2?
Season 2.
Season 2. So you already watched 13 hours of it from season 1,
Yeah.
and you also watched 8 hours of it from the Defenders.
Yeah.
And you don't think that's enough of a shot for Iron Fist?
I just wanna see the ending, okay?
Just no, just go ahead. Sorry, I'm being so like annoying about this, but man,
No,
like
it's fine.
what a garbage character.
No, okay. If you read the comic, I've read the comic, and I'm like, man, the comics is really cool. But then when you see this, you're like, wow, you know, like
Yeah, so you're agreeing with me. It's a garbage character.
No, I do agree with you that the Netflix Iron Fist is a garbage character.
Exactly.
But
That's clearly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to start criticizing the comics.
yeah,
right?
you better not.
I'm just talking. No, your comics are safe for me.
Okay.
But I
Good.
think we've been rambling a little bit.
Y- Yeah. But again, if you like listening to us, we have some previous episodes that you can listen to, and yeah, you can find us on YouTube at Parking Lot Podcast, and also iTunes at Parking Lot Podcast, and also Mo's side project too, the Turnover Podcast.
Staff turnover.
Staff Turnover. My
Yes.
apologies.
No worries.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys. Bye.